You're a failure. I can't live with a man like you anymore." Lisa's words cut through her teeth, colder than the October wind slipping through the open window. She grabbed Ethan, our 5-year-old son, and headed for the door. The boy turned, eyes wide, tears spilling down his cheeks. His voice cracked. "Daddy, will you be sad when I'm gone?" I stood there, frozen, still wearing my office suit. The termination letter lay on the table, effective immediately. The words burned into my eyes. That was the day I lost my job. And my family. I thought that was the end. Jazz song. 6 months later. A conference room. At my new company. The one I built from nothing. Through sleepless nights. Hunger. Fear. Doubt. HR handed me a file. A job applicant. The name on the file stopped my breath. "Lisa, turn on the waiting room camera," I said. There she was. Her shoulders frail. Her once shiny hair dry and lifeless. An old office dress clung to her thin frame. Her eyes empty. She didn't know. The one interviewing her today was me. I stared at her through the frosted glass. Should I laugh? Cry? Or just walk away? Then my voice broke the silence. Low. Cold. "Next candidate. Please come in." In that moment, I knew the world had shifted. Maybe I trusted the word happiness too much. At 40, I thought I was living every man's dream. A steady job at a major tech corporation, a gentle wife, and a bright little boy named Ethan. But no one knew what I had sacrificed for those peaceful family dinners. Last year, my boss offered me a transfer to the New York headquarters. The pay would double, but it meant being away from home for at least 3 years. I turned it down. I still remember Lisa holding my hand, her eyes firm and unwavering. "Ethan needs his father here. Money can't raise a child, Jason." I nodded. No hesitation. I believed her. I believed this family was worth giving up every ambition I had. But then, the cracks began to show. Lisa changed. Slowly. Quietly. Like a midnight rain. She started shopping more. Credit card bills came in. $500. $700. For dresses and shoes she only wore once. To grab coffee with her friends. One late night, as I worked on a project, trying to meet the deadline, Lisa stepped out of the bedroom. She was wearing a brand new dress. Her eyes flashed with irritation. "Stop working all the time. Look at you. You're a mess like some old man. If people see you like this, they'll think I married the wrong guy." I swallowed hard, forced the lump in my throat down, told myself she was just joking. The day it all came crashing down arrived faster than I expected. An email from the company. "We regret to inform you, you're among the staff being let go. 15 years of loyalty, reduced to 1 cold notice." I sat frozen in front of the screen, fingers trembling, unable to type a single reply. I went home. My hands still clenched the termination letter. I kept whispering to myself, "Just hold, Lisa. Everything will be okay." But the apartment was empty. Ethan didn't run to me with his little laugh. Lisa wasn't there. Her faded floral apron tied around her waist. On the table, a folded note. "I'm sorry, Jason. I'm taking Ethan to my mother's. I can't live like this anymore. Please don't come looking for us." I stood there, chest tight, like someone had punched me hard. The room felt suffocating, so still I could hear my own heartbeat. I don't know how long I stood there, but I remember sinking to the cold floor. I checked my phone. Lisa had posted a photo. She was sitting in a fancy cafe, smiling brightly next to a man I'd never seen before. I don't know how long she had been planning to leave me. I scrolled through Lisa's profile, my hands trembling. I couldn't believe my own eyes. Under a photo of her beaming in some upscale cafe, the caption read, "A new chapter, a new life." Dozens of comments poured in. "You deserve better." "Exactly. Don't let anyone hold you back." I gripped my phone so tight, my knuckles turned white. Happiness? What about Ethan? And that man, who was he in this new chapter of hers? Amen? I kept thinking back. Every night I came home late. Ethan would crawl out of bed, his little eyes barely open. He'd wrap his arms around my leg and whisper, "Daddy, can you finish the superhero story?" I'd scoop him up, sit on the living room floor, rub his back and say, "The superhero's tired, but for Ethan, I'll finish it." That night, he fell asleep in my arms. Lisa stood in the doorway, smiling at us. Back then, I thought, I could carry the weight of the whole world, as long as I have them with me. But now, the apartment was hauntingly silent. I sent Lisa a message. Bring Ethan home. We'll get through this together. The screen showed seen. No reply. 1 hour. 2 hours. The whole night passed. I called. The phone rang, but no one answered. On the third attempt, a cold, automated voice replied, "The number you've dialed is currently unavailable." The next morning, I called Ethan's preschool to check on him. The manager's voice came through. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't give out any information. The only contact on Ethan's file now is his mother." I froze. Lisa had quietly erased my name from our son's records. To her, I wasn't a father anymore. The days after felt like I was haunting my own life. By day, I buried myself in my old laptop, desperately applying for jobs. But every email I opened was another polite rejection. At night, I came back to the empty apartment. No Ethan, no laughter, just silence. I opened the fridge, a few cans of beer, and an expired carton of milk. I sank to the kitchen floor. Beer spilled down my shirt. Where did I go wrong? Was I never good enough? The questions looped in my head, over and over, like a broken record. A week later, the bank called. My balance was nearly wiped out. Large, unusual transactions had drained it. I checked the statement. Designer stores. Payments Lisa had made before she left. Turns out, while I scraped by to pay off debts, she was preparing her own safe escape. That night, I hurled my phone against the wall. It shattered into pieces. But I didn't feel pain. The rage was gone. All that remained was emptiness. And one question. If I collapse now, what happens to Ethan? I picked up the phone and called the one man Lisa despised the most. He was my only chance to turn the game around. I stared at the phone screen. The name David Carter lit up in my contacts. David, an old college friend. The one Lisa couldn't stand. Back when we got married, Lisa said, "Don't hang out with him anymore. He's all sweet talk, no future." So I cut ties with David, just to keep Lisa at peace. But now, he was the first person I thought of. I hit call. 2 rings. Then his voice. "Jason, what's going on? You sound terrible." I took a deep breath. My voice cracked. "David, do you still have that offer? I'm ready to do whatever it takes." 3 days later, we met at a small coffee shop. He looked almost the same as in college. That big grin. Eyes that seemed to find joy in everything. "Jason, you've lost weight. Don't tell me Lisa left you?" I said nothing. David nodded slowly. "Shame. But hey, sometimes being left behind is the best thing that could happen to you." He placed a stack of documents on the table. "Listen, I'm about to launch an AI startup. I need an experienced engineer to lead the technical team. You could be that guy." I looked at him, unsure. "You're not afraid I'll fail?" "I've got nothing left, David." He laughed. A loud, easy laugh. "Exactly. Because you've got nothing. You'll give it everything. That's the kind of man I need." Sia. That night, I went home, opened my old laptop, and began typing the first lines of code for the project. My hands trembled. It had been so long since I'd worked this hard. But somewhere deep inside, a faint light flickered in the dark. I have to make this work. There's no turning back. I stayed up night after night, eyes sunken, cold ramen bowls stacked beside me. While others slept peacefully in their warm homes, I sat alone, punching out code in a silent apartment. Shanann. Sometimes I thought about Ethan. One night, while digging through a drawer for a pen, I found a crumpled drawing he'd made. "Daddy is my superhero." I held the paper, hands shaking. Tears blurred my vision before I even realized. "I promise, son, you'll never be ashamed of me." Dear. One evening, David called to discuss our funding strategy. As I scrolled through the list of potential investors he sent me, one name made my blood run cold. Adrian White, co-founder, Orion Tech. Orion Tech, the rival company Lisa used to talk about back when we were together. The man standing next to her in that cafe photo. It was Adrian. And then, it hit me. Lisa and Adrian were quietly pouring money into Orion to go head-to-head with our project. Turns out, my downfall was only the beginning of a much bigger war. And this time, the person standing on the other side of the battlefield is the one who once held my hand. I sat frozen in front of the screen. My hand gripped the mouse so tight, my knuckles turned white. Adrian, the man Lisa once introduced to me at a party last year as a potential business partner. Back then, he just shook my hand politely and gave a faint, meaningless smile. I never imagined. 1 year later, He wouldn't just take my wife. He'd become my direct rival in this game. A message from David lit up my phone. "You okay? Focus, Jason. We still have a shot." I took a deep breath, closed the laptop. I knew I couldn't afford to fall again. The days that followed, David and I threw ourselves into work like madmen. We spent hours brainstorming, rewriting every single line of code, checking every pixel on the user interface. My eyes were swollen from lack of sleep. But for the first time in months, I felt the blood in my veins heating up again. David looked at me and said, "Don't worry, Jason. All we need is one chance to win over the investors. Once the funding comes in, Adrian's Orion won't crush us so easily." I nodded. But deep down, I knew this fight wasn't about money anymore. This was about reclaiming myself. The first pitch meeting with an investment firm was set for a Monday morning. The night before, I couldn't sleep. I stood by the window, staring at the empty streets below, gripping Ethan's drawing in my hand. "Daddy is my superhero," I whispered. "Tomorrow, I'll start becoming a real superhero, Ethan." On the day of the pitch, I put on my old suit, the one Lisa once mocked. "You're really wearing that? You look pathetically poor." I adjusted my tie, looked in the mirror. The man staring back at me looked worn down, but his eyes were different now. Harder, calmer. "We can do this, I believe it." The meeting room was cold, silent. David opened the slides, his voice steady. "We believe our product can change how the world operates with artificial intelligence." I picked up from there, every word firm, every sentence deliberate. Then came the questions. An older investor stared at me, his voice dry and cutting. "Are you aware Adrian White has approached us? He claims your wife left you because you went bankrupt, and that your previous company cut you for incompetence." The room went dead silent. I felt my blood rush to my face. My hand clenched tight. "Adrian, you'd go this far?" I drew a deep breath, locked eyes with the man. Yes, I failed. I lost everything. My job, my wife, and even my pride. But because of that, I'm not afraid of losing anything anymore. If I don't make this work, I'll be nothing. A long pause. Then the investor nodded slowly. "Good answer. Continue." The meeting ended with cautious, measured stares. But I caught a few smiles. David patted my shoulder. "You did great, Jason. Don't let their words shake you." I just nodded. Bye. That night, as I stepped back into my apartment, my phone buzzed. An unknown number flashed on the screen. "Hello." A familiar voice cut through, cold enough to send chills down my spine. "Jason, you're really going to make a fool of yourself? Don't drag our son into your mess. Don't let him grow up ashamed of a failure for a father. Lisa." I held my breath. Every word she said sliced into me like a knife. "I just called to warn you. Don't be stupid. You're not strong enough. Quit while you still can." I smirked. My voice dropped, low and steady. "Thanks for your concern. But this time, I'm not quitting." I placed the phone down on the table, and in that moment, I realized they've woken up the monster inside me. Now, it's my turn to strike. I set the phone down on the table, my fingers still trembling slightly. "Don't let your son grow up ashamed of you." Lisa's words echoed in my head. It felt like she hadn't just stabbed my pride. She crushed it beneath her heel. I didn't sleep that night. I sat motionless in the dark, my eyes fixed on the ceiling. Ethan's face floated in my mind, his innocent little eyes staring up at me, whispering, "Daddy, you're my superhero." But now, does he still believe that? The next morning, I walked into David's office earlier than usual. He was already at his laptop. As soon as he saw me, he asked, "Lisa called you, didn't she?" I nodded. "She thinks I'll quit. But David, I can't afford to fall again." David raised an eyebrow, a flicker of worry in his eyes. "What are you planning to do?" I took a deep breath, my voice low but firm. "Strike back." That night, we called an emergency meeting with the tech team. I demanded a complete rewrite of the algorithm. We had to double our data processing speed. David sighed. "You're pushing yourself to the edge, Jason." I looked at him, my eyes cold and sharp. "Limits are cages Adrian built to trap us. I'm breaking them." Sashna. 2 days later, while we were still glued to our screens, David's phone rang. He frowned at the name flashing on the screen. "Lisa." David glanced at me, hesitated, then answered. "David, I need to see you." Her voice cracked. The arrogance was gone. All that was left was a faint, trembling tone. "What's going on?" David asked. Adrian, he betrayed me. I've lost everything. All I have left is Ethan. Please, help me see Jason. David looked at me, his eyes full of questions. I stayed silent. My fist clenched so tight it drew blood. At that moment, an email notification popped up on my laptop. Subject line: regarding allegations of idea theft and misconduct by Jason Moore. My chest tightened as I clicked. Inside was a long article, published by Orion Tech. Jason Moore, CEO of Mantra AI, once fired for stealing client data, now back in the market with the same dirty tricks. I froze. Adrian, he didn't just want to win. He wanted to destroy me. David growled through clenched teeth. He's playing dirty now. What's your move? I inhaled slowly. My eyes burned with fire. Fine. If Adrian wants a war, I'll show him. I'm no longer the Jason he once looked down on. Dare. That night, a loud knock rattled my door. I opened it and froze. Lisa stood there, her eyes red and swollen, her voice breaking. Jason, I was wrong. I stood frozen at the door. Lisa, the woman who once walked out with our son without a single goodbye, now stood in front of me, her eyes red, her face pale and exhausted. Jason, I was wrong. I said nothing. I quietly stepped back, letting the door swing open. Lisa walked in, her movements shaky, like someone just stepping out of a storm. We sat across from each other in the living room. The wooden table between us felt like an invisible war zone. She gripped her teacup tightly, her voice hoarse. Adrian, he betrayed me. All the shares I transferred to him. He sold them to a competitor and ran off with some young girl. I stayed silent. Jason, I have nothing left. All I have is Ethan. I need you. Help me win back custody of our son. I let out a bitter laugh. Lisa, when you left, did you ever think about how it felt for me? Standing frozen in an empty apartment, calling my son hundreds of times, and no one ever answered. Did you ever wonder how I died inside? Lisa bowed her head, her shoulders trembling, tears dripping into the hot tea. I was wrong. I thought Adrian would give me and Ethan a better life. My voice hardened, my eyes cold as ice. And me? I spent my youth giving you the best life I could. And you repaid me by vanishing with my son, leaving me to rot in emptiness. Lisa looked up, her eyes glistening with tears, but still carrying a faint trace of pride. Jason, you don't understand. I didn't want to stay trapped in poverty forever. I was tired of being the wife of a failure. Her words hit me like a knife, twisting deeper into my chest. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was David, his voice urgent. Jason, I just got word. Orion Tech is about to close a deal with a major investor. The same one we've been negotiating with. If they sign first, we're finished. I closed my eyes, my hand gripping the phone tight. Lisa watched me, her eyes still red, but her voice suddenly sharp. Jason, I know Adrian. He won't stop. But I have information about this deal. If you help me win custody of Ethan, I'll help you break Adrian's agreement. I stared at Lisa. Could I trust her? She had betrayed me once, and those words still rang in my head. I was tired of being the wife of a failure. Was she truly remorseful? Or was this another trap? My voice came out hoarse. If you betray me again, I won't forgive you. Lisa nodded, a spark of determination in her eyes. I won't betray you. Not for you, but for Ethan. Send. That night, David and I entered the final battle. In the dark room, the glow of the laptop screen lit our faces. Line by line, the code I wrote began tearing down Adrian's firewalls. Then suddenly, a file popped up. Transaction Lisa Mantra AI.pdf. I opened it. My chest tightened. My breath caught. Lisa had secretly transferred 5% of Mantra AI's shares to Adrian, 3 months before she walked out. I let go of the keyboard. My whole body turned cold. In that moment, I wasn't sure anymore. Was the greatest betrayal from Adrian or from Lisa? The laptop screen blurred before my eyes. Lisa secretly transferred 5% of Mantra AI shares to Adrian 3 months before she left. My throat tightened. My heart pounded. My hands shook so hard I couldn't keep typing. Lisa, the woman who cried in front of me, saying, I only have Ethan left, I was wrong, had betrayed me long before she ever walked away. David placed a hand on my shoulder, his voice low. Jason, we still have a shot. You can confront Lisa later. Right now, we need to take Adrian down. I took a deep breath. pushed the laptop toward him. You're right. Adrian is still the bigger enemy. But I won't forget this. What? 2 a.m. In the dim room, only the sound of keyboards clacking, and our heavy breaths filled the air. Adrian's servers were locked behind layers of security. But I knew all it took was one crack in the wall, and I'd turn it into his downfall. Then suddenly, my phone buzzed. The name on the screen, Lisa. I answered, my voice icy. Talk. What's your plan? She inhaled deeply. Her voice came weak, yet there was still an edge of steel. Jason, I know you found out. I'm done hiding. Yes, I once believed Adrian was my way out from you. But now, I need you, just as much as you need me, if you want to destroy Adrian. I gripped the phone tighter, my voice a growl. You need me? Or is this another trap? To bury me for good this time? Silence. Then Lisa's voice cracked. Jason, I have nothing left to lose. You can hate me, but believe me, Adrian is far more dangerous than you think. Something inside me snapped. For the first time, I let all the buried pain explode. Lisa! Do you even realize? When you signed those shares over to Adrian, you buried not just Mantra AI, but Ethan too? I once believed you were home. But you burned it to the ground. On the other end, Lisa broke down, her sobs raw and jagged. I know, and I'll pay for it. But this time, just trust me, one last time. I stayed silent. My hand clenched so tight, blood seeped from my palm. At that moment, a message flashed across my laptop screen. Jason, I know what you're doing. Stop now before it's too late. Adrian. A chill ran through me. Adrian had found us. He was closing in. This battle. I either win or disappear forever. My heart pounded as the message flashed on my screen. Jason, I know what you're doing. Stop now before it's too late. David spun around, eyes wide. Damn it. He knows. I drew a deep breath, my voice rough. No, we can't stop now. I've come too far to turn back. My fingers flew across the keyboard. The final gate to Adrian's server creaked open inch by inch. I knew he was watching every move. But I also knew, if I hesitated for even 1 second, everything would collapse. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Adrian. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then answered. His voice came low and smug, like he was smirking on the other end. Jason, you really think you can bring me down? A failure will always be a failure. I let out a cold laugh. You're right about one thing. A failure has nothing left to lose, and that makes them more dangerous than anyone. Adrian chuckled darkly. Fine then, if you're so brave. Wait and see what I bring to your doorstep. The line went dead. On the screen, David shouted, Jason, I got it! The file's proof of Adrian bribing investors, it's downloaded. I exhaled sharply. Send it. To the media. To the regulators. We're not leaving him any way out. Just then, the door burst open. Lisa stumbled in, her face pale. Jason, you have to get out now. Adrian knows where you are. He's sending people? I shot her a hard stare. Lisa, are you sure this isn't another trap? Are you luring me out so he can finish me off? Her lips trembled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I've made too many mistakes already. But this time, I'm begging you. Please trust me. Heavy footsteps echoed on the stairs. David's voice broke. Jason, he really sent men after us. We bolted for the back door, our breaths ragged. As we reached the car, a black SUV screeched to a halt. 2 men jumped out, their eyes sharp and cold. They pounded on the car window, shouting, Jason, open the door. It'll be easier if you don't fight Adrian. I twisted the key. The engine roared to life. Hold on tight. We don't have another choice. The car shot forward into the night. Behind us, headlights flared. Horns blared. The chase was on. Lisa gasped for breath, her voice shaking. Jason, if you make it through this, promise me one thing. I gripped the wheel tighter. My eyes locked on the darkness ahead. What is it? Her voice cracked. Let me disappear from your life. And never let Ethan know. His mother betrayed you. Just then, my phone buzzed. A message. I glanced at the screen, and my chest seized. A photo. Ethan sleeping in bed, and a shadowy figure standing by the window. I gritted my teeth, my hands crushing the wheel until blood oozed from my palm. Adrian, if you lay a hand on Ethan, I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. The roar of the engine tore through the night. Rain pounded against the windshield like a racing heartbeat. I glanced at my phone again. Ethan, sleeping peacefully on his bed. And in the corner, the shadow of a man standing by the window. My chest tightened. Cold sweat dripped down my forehead. Adrian, if you dare lay a hand on my son. Lisa placed a trembling hand on my shoulder. Jason, you have to stay calm. If you lose control now, Ethan will be in even more danger. In the rearview mirror, I caught a glimpse of myself. Red, bloodshot eyes. A gaunt face so hollow I barely recognized it. What kind of father have I become? Letting my son get dragged into this war of adults? Do I even deserve to hear Ethan call me Dad anymore? I shook my head hard, forcing the thought away. No, not this time. I won't let anyone take Ethan from me again. David turned, his voice sharp as he glared at Lisa. Are you sure Adrian is there? Or is this just another one of your traps? Lisa bit her lip. Tears streamed down her face. I swear, I have no reason left to betray Jason. Ethan, he's all I have now. I stared at her in the rearview mirror, my voice hoarse, cold. Lisa, if this is a trap, I swear I'll drag you down to hell with me. Lisa broke down, burying her face in her hands. I've already lost everything, Jason. There's nothing left for me to lose. Today, we pulled up outside the apartment where Ethan and his grandmother had been staying. The building loomed in darkness. Only a faint light flickered from Ethan's room. I gripped the doorknob tight, pausing for a moment before the worn wooden door. In my head, Adrian's cold laughter echoed, and then I heard Ethan's faint voice. Daddy! I swallowed hard, my trembling hand resting on the doorknob. Ethan, Daddy's here. Suddenly, a voice cut through the darkness behind me. Jason. At last, we meet again. I spun around, my eyes locked onto him. Adrian. He stood there in his expensive suit, his smile sharp as a blade. Well done. I didn't think you had the guts to hack into my system, but you're still as naive as ever. I growled, my voice tight. Where's Ethan? Adrian raised an eyebrow, his tone slicing like a knife. Safe, at least for now. But tell me, Jason, have you ever wondered, is Ethan really your son? A sharp pain shot through my chest. My knees buckled for a moment. I froze. A faint red light blinked from the corner of the room. A hidden camera. Adrian lifted his phone, showing me the screen. Ethan. Still asleep. And Adrian's voice came slow, deliberate. I control everything, even your son. Bang! The gunshot ripped through the silence. Adrian froze for a moment, his eyes wide in shock. Then he collapsed onto the floor. Blood spread across his pristine white shirt. That cruel smirk still lingered on his lips, as if daring me even in his final breath. I spun around, my heart pounding like a war drum. Lisa stood there, her hands trembling. The gun clattered to the floor, her tear-filled eyes locked on mine, like someone teetering on the edge of an abyss. Jason, her voice cracked, broken. I destroyed everything. But this time, I couldn't let him take Ethan from you. I stepped forward, gripping her shoulders tight. Lisa, you saved us. In the distance, sirens wailed, growing louder. David panted behind me. Jason, we have to go, now. If the cops get here, they'll call this a murder and arrest all of us. I turned to Lisa. She stood still, her lips quivering. Jason, you have to take Ethan and run. I'll stay. No, we're leaving together. Lisa shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I've caused too much pain already. I can't carry this stain into Ethan's life. I'll turn myself in. Tell Ethan his mother loved him, more than anything in this world. I tried to speak, but my throat locked up. Lisa turned away, walking slowly to Adrian's lifeless body. Her trembling hand brushed the gun, then rested over her heart. Jason, take care of Ethan, and if one day you can forgive me. David grabbed my arm, his voice sharp. Jason, we have to move, now. I looked at Lisa one last time. Her eyes glimmered with a faint light, before she was swallowed by the shadows. I turned away, scooped Ethan into my arms. The boy stirred, his little head nuzzling into my chest as he murmured in his sleep, Daddy, don't leave me. We bolted to the car. The wail of sirens clawed at our ears as the engine roared to life. I glanced back. Red and blue lights flickered across the apartment windows. Lisa's silhouette stood there, motionless, slowly fading into the darkness. I held Ethan tighter in my arms. Outside, the rain poured down in sheets, Inside my head, Adrian's raspy laughter echoed, and I couldn't help but wonder, had I won, or was I just the last man standing, in a game where everyone had already lost? Rain poured down on the empty road. I sat motionless in the car. Ethan slept quietly in the back seat, his innocent little face cutting into my chest like a blade. Outside, streetlights bled through rain-soaked glass, casting blurred streaks of light, like my life right now. No more lines between right and wrong, no more difference between love and hate. I once thought I was a strong man. I believed that if I held on tight enough, I could protect my family, keep my promises. But in the end, I lost more than I ever imagined. Lisa, her face haunts me still, standing in that doorway, eyes brimming with tears, lips trembling as she whispered, "Take care of Ethan. And if one day you can, forgive me." I wanted to hate her to my very bones. But as the sound of sirens echoed behind me, and her silhouette faded in the blue and red lights, I couldn't. Maybe a part of me still loved her. And that's what hurt the most. David drove in silence. His hand rested on my shoulder, gripping it gently. "Jason, you did what you had to do. You saved your son." I nodded faintly, but deep down, a question gnawed at me. Did I really save him? Or did I just drag him into a war he never deserved to fight? That night, I sat by Ethan's bed, watching him sleep. His tiny hand clutched mine, like he was afraid I'd vanish. I stroked his hair gently and whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm not the hero you think I am. I'm just a broken man, trying to hold on to whatever's left, so you don't grow up in emptiness." I stood by the window, staring out into the rain. At my feet, Ethan's little shoes, still damp from the storm the night before. Such a small thing, but it tore at my heart. I wish I could go back to that night, when everything was still whole. Some wounds, time will never heal. It only teaches you how to live with the pain. Some losses don't even have a name. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if, when Ethan grows up, he'll see me as a hero, or just a man who once stumbled, lost everything, and tried to rise again for his sake. But I do know one thing. No matter what happens, I'm here, and I'll never leave you. Nay. The next morning, as soft sunlight crept through the window, Ethan opened his eyes and smiled faintly. "Good morning, Daddy," I smiled back. But deep inside, an emptiness still lingered. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You really think Ethan is safe?" I clenched the phone in my hand, my heart pounding. Outside, the sky began to brighten. But inside me, the darkness refused to let go.